Hey everyone, welcome back to the recap of the Walking Dead universe. We are here live every week during the show season to discuss the latest episode. We are here covering TWD Dead City Season 2, Episode 5, The Bird Always Knows. I'm your host, Tamara, and I'm glad you've joined us for today's episode. Please be sure to follow us and do all the things in all the places you know. It's all in the show notes. We appreciate you in advance for doing that. And of course, a special thank you to everyone joining us live tonight and taking time out of your evening to be here. Joining me today is show co host Lisa. Welcome back, Lisa.
Hey, Tamara. Hey, everyone. My name is Lisa Orban. I am an author. I am also the founder of Indies United Publishing House, and I love all things pop culture.
All right. So before we get started, we would love your participation in this conversation. So if you are listening live on YouTube, hit us up in the comment section. If you are catching this on a replay, you can still comment on YouTube or Spotify or even leave us a voice message using the SpeakPipe link in the show notes. So if you are new to the podcast, we are laid back in our review style, right, Lisa?
Absolutely, Tamara. This is a conversation, not a dissertation.
Exactly. No scene by scene breakdowns here. We jump around a lot. And of course, huge spoiler alert for everything through every show in this world through yesterday's episode. So if you're cool with that, this is the place for you. And we should just get right to it.
All right.
Okay. What did you think?
Well, two bad people died, and I was okay with it. One not bad person died, and I was not okay with it.
Honestly, I was like, what the hell was that I just watched? I my first instinct was, what was that? It was all over the place, and I'm not sure if I liked it.
Ah, I didn't mind it. When as Maggie comes back with her with Herschel and what's his name, and I'm like, I'm not feeling good about them walking into that place. And I was right not to feel good about it because everything about the woman they left behind was screaming she's going to do something bad while not being watched.
Well, yeah, we knew Navarez had found out that, Negan was still alive, which was her, in her opinion, her right to do what she did next, right? Because he lied.
Well, no, it wasn't just that. It's the fact that she basically had taken over that entire
I know.
community.
Yes, and I
Um,
think that was a part of it, though, because as long as she was in charge, she was going to do it.
right. And I really I don't like, and I get why nobody wants New Babylon to come into play here because they're not, they're ruining entire communities. I mean, they decimated that community to for her to make a point. You're going to do it until, I'm going to find a leader. I'm going to kill leaders until I find one that does.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
that
that's
sounded great.
right. And I get the feeling that every other community that New Babylon has forced into their coalition, it was done the exact same way.
Yeah, it was join us or die.
Yeah.
Isn't this great? Welcome aboard.
Yeah. Aren't you happy? No, we're
Yeah.
not happy. Because even Maggie said she's not happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Way back when. That they weren't there by choice, they were there by force.
Right.
And almost every single person that from every community that has been kind of shown had more or less the same thoughts. We're not here because we want to be. We're here because we have to be.
Right.
They're holding our families hostage. They're holding our communities hostage. What have you.
None of that surprised me at all,
Oh, no.
except I was kind of okay. So there were two things I didn't like about that particular part of the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So first, she decides to just execute these people right then, right now. But we're in the middle of trying to get something done. Is that the smartest thing?
I think she likes the executions.
She must. I'm like, that's not very smart. Why are you going to
No,
do this right now? But okay. So
I, I think what her hope was is that she could browbeat the rest of these people into joining her so that they could use them to take care of like Negan and the Croat and whoever else was lured through the high grass.
Yeah, I think that is why she did that to, their leader. But I'm like,
Mhm.
why throw Maggie up there? I'm like, yeah, you don't like that she was trying to cover for, you know, what's his face? And Pearly. She didn't like that she was lying to cover for him. But is that a reason to like kill her? No.
Well, I don't know. It may not have been, except for the fact instead of going and bringing back Negan and the Croat, she came back and tried to kill her.
Well, she deserved it.
She did absolutely.
Oh,
I love how
yeah.
she went to the door to let Pearly and the leader of the other group out, and and when they were like going, "No, don't do it," she just shut the door, locked it back
Yeah. She's
in.
like, stay in there then. I'm taking
Yeah,
care of this. I'm a
and
fail, but I'm gonna take care of it.
yeah,
Mhm.
and it was kind of interesting that Herschel is he's always been a little reluctant with his mom for
Mhm.
obvious reasons, but yeah, seeing her up there about to get hanged, I think broke something in him where he's like, "Wait a minute, you know, I can dislike her, but you can't do this."
He wanted to scream, "Mommy!"
Yeah,
like a 2-year-old. He wanted to, but, I don't know. I feel like Herschel is so weak. Even 12-year-old Jenny, this chick is 12,
yeah,
which I'm glad they actually mentioned how old she was because she's sure acting a lot older.
yeah.
But she seems like she can stand her ground and take care of business. Herschel
Hmm.
couldn't even fight his way out of that hold. He didn't even try. It was
Yeah,
like, what is this? Didn't your mom teach you anything? Didn't the people you were with teach you anything? You're just so weak.
yeah.
And you're clearly older than Jenny.
Hmm.
I don't like Herschel still. I don't like him. He's such a brat. And Jenny is a brat too. Like
Oh God, yes.
what's that phrase, no good deed goes unpunished. Like you got
Yeah.
to be kidding me.
Well, and in a way, it does kind of surprise me. I know that Jenny has not warmed too much to Maggie. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
Um, but Maggie has honestly tried to take care of her.
Mhm.
You know, she's kept her safe, kept her fed, kept her, alive.
Right.
And I mean that should have bought her at least a little bit of loyalty.
Mhm.
Um, but apparently not.
No, apparently not because this little girl thought that, you know, she was going to be get some help in taking
Hmm.
out Negan and that is her priority.
Yeah,
Forget everyone else. I don't care.
yeah,
But she did look a little bit regretful, as they were about to murder everyone.
yeah.
She did look like, "Oh no, I don't know if that was the right thing to do."
Yeah, I mean, she has. I mean, there's a huge difference between going after someone for personal vengeance.
Yeah.
She has a reason. I mean, it's honestly in this world not a terrible reason. Negan killed her dad.
Mhm.
Um, he seems to have that going. Kills a lot of dads. Anyway, but I don't know that she was completely comfortable with the fact that this entire community was now being decimated,
Yeah.
and there's not many of them left.
Right. No. Actually, I don't think any of them are left.
Um, I thought I saw one or two, not
Mhm.
many.
Yeah.
They're in the background.
Okay. Cuz I'm like they just all started doing that
Moni thing.
moaning thing and all the dead, which is odd. I didn't think the dead would just come and just like devour them because before, when they were doing all that stuff, the dead were leaving them alone, right?
Hmm.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so now they're doing the opposite of what they were doing before.
Well, I'm wondering if it's. I mean, there was a lot more noise, a lot more activity. The
Mhm.
fire, um, because previously when they were in, kind of interacting with them, they were very silent.
Yeah.
And this was a community that hardly made any noise at all. They don't chatter, they don't really talk. When they do, it's in low tones, in tones that don't carry. Um, they're very quiet people.
They
So
all just committed suicide,
yeah.
mass suicide.
Hmm.
Like what? What are we
So I
doing?
think it was all the noise and activity that drew them,
Yeah.
drew the dead, and then because they were making the noise and they weren't trying to get away,
Oh. Yeah, that was
it just
strange.
it just became well. And they're even their leader was saying, this is, death isn't anything to be feared, this is just a transition, this is where we're all going.
Yeah. That's what they want to believe, I guess. I don't
and
know. Mm,
and well, you think about it, when that one girl got hurt, and instead they didn't even try to save her, they didn't do anything to see if they could, you know help her, they just killed her.
yeah.
And she didn't fight it, she knew what was going on. She didn't beg, she didn't plead, she just, this is their way.
Yeah.
And
It is, but that's one by one. I didn't
mhm,
expect them to do that as a group. Like, just do that.
yeah,
Like, were they plotting that? If they execute her, we're gonna just call all the dead in here
I don't
and
know if they meant
just,
to call all the dead in, but they weren't going to fight it either, because
yeah.
they were all. I think that this was part of their way to say, we will not join you.
Mm-hmm.
So their small group of, I guess, Pearlie said, what, 12? They had 12 left.
Something like that.
Is now down to what, 4 maybe?
You know, honestly, okay, so that part was interesting, but I still have a gripe with that part of the show because all of the walkers are just going to come in there, and of course those people are just standing there, they're not running, but
Hmm.
everybody else, it just seemed like it was so easy to kill them all. And when the leader bit Navarez, it just seemed like she didn't even try to escape. It's like she just stood there and let the woman bite her. She didn't even fight at all. It was so weird. Like she didn't
Yeah,
try to get away. She just stood there. And that was the weakest death I've ever seen. And then she's on the ground. She's not screaming or anything. I'm like, doesn't that hurt? Like she's just sitting there looking all stoic. I'm like, this is dreadful.
yeah.
What is this?
Well, and I'm going to say too, this whole plan they have for getting the methane doesn't make any sense. Um,
No.
and part of it is because at the beginning of the episode, we do see one of the methane facilities, one of the substations, not even the main facility, just a substation.
Mm-hmm.
These are This is huge. It's industrial. This is not a small operation. And at the beginning of this season, we saw them going in and scooping up the dead and stripping them and putting them in the vats and the so when when they talk about stealing this, what exactly are they talking about stealing?
That's a good question. We talked about that before. Like, how were they going to do it? What were they going to do exactly? Just, we
This
don't
isn't,
know.
yeah, because this isn't like a small piece of equipment. This isn't like one thing.
Hmm.
Um, Honestly, they would be better off not steal the product, but to steal a person that knows how to make said product.
The plan is half baked
Yeah,
and it's a mess. And they should have just ran home, just like Maggie said. We need to leave. We're going to leave.
yeah. Because there's really nothing. I mean, what are they going to steal? Some piping, some tubes, some methane. I mean, sure, they could steal some methane.
But it
They could,
wouldn't last very
but
long.
it's not going to last for very long. I mean, they
Yeah,
could steal a couple canisters, but that means that they're going to have to keep going back
right.
to steal more canisters, which is the one thing that I've been this entire season. I'm like, what do they think this operation is? Like, do they think it's like a still, like for, bathtub gin type thing?
They
What is
don't,
it
they
they
don't
think
know.
they're going to take?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I wish that they would have told us the plan.
I don't think that I think part of it. I mean, Maggie's never seen their operation. You know, Negan hasn't told him what it is.
Mhm.
I don't honestly. I don't think Herschel has any idea. And who else would who else is there to say?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably.
And so I'm sure they're all under the. It seems like they're all under the impression that this is something that they can just pack up and steal away.
I mean, unless they thought they could take over the location, but they don't have enough people to hold it
No,
and guard it and
no.
operate it. They don't have the people.
Mm-mm.
So that's not it.
Like I said, if they
Yeah.
really want this technology, it's not a thing that they should try to steal. It's a person, one of the workers.
Probably not even one of the workers. The workers just work there. They probably don't have no clue how they did that. Whoever whoever thought this up, this show hasn't even bothered to like highlight them at all.
Right.
So we don't know who the scientist is or the smart person in the room who thought this up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the Dama is not that smart. I'm
No,
sure.
no, we know that she didn't do that.
No, it's not her. It sure wasn't the Croat. He's not that smart.
Mm-mm. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised no one's thought about, we'll make a steam engine.
Hmm. Well, maybe that was next. Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, I mean, you can turn steam into electrical power.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of surprised. I mean, they have wind turbines and they do have some solar panels, but I'm really kind of surprised we haven't really seen any steam engines. And we got power from the dead.
I feel like that's trying to wonder why an unreasonable show isn't doing something reasonable.
I'm sure.
Like, no.
Well, yeah. I mean, in part, I mean, because again, me wondering because they're going through all this trouble. I'm like, they could just build a steam engine, and there are plans all over the place. Describing how steam engines work, even
Hmm.
in college campuses and even some high schools. Libraries have. It's not a state secret on how a steam engine works.
They just picked the grossest thing they possibly could
Yeah.
for, I don't know what the writers of this show are thinking, to be honest. I can't even theorize what's next because this episode was so all over the place. Like there's
Hmm.
no rhyme or reason for anything that's going on. Like I thought Maggie would have been the one to kill the Dama. That made sense based on what was going on surrounding
Yeah.
her son and everything. But
Hmm.
instead, we have Negan like baiting the Croat and baiting the Dama to fight with each other.
Oh yeah. Which he is good at. I will give him. He's always been good at that. You know.
Yeah, he's like late. Actually, it's so funny when she comes in and she sees the dead rat. I said, "Oh, Negan did that
Oh yeah.
immediately."
Immediately. I
Uh-huh.
mean, there was not a doubt in my mind that was Negan.
Yeah, but that's how they choose to take her out. And people are saying, "Well, we don't see a body, so we don't really know if she died." But I think we just assume she did because
Yeah.
he didn't help her from being stuck. She couldn't get out. But
Hmm.
I hope she's gone, like gone, gone.
Yeah. Well, in the previews for next week, there is a conversation between Negan and the Croat saying, "Well, she's gone, so now what?"
Hmm.
I don't think that he would have said that if there was a chance of her still being alive.
What a lackluster ending for that character. I feel like that was also kind of whack. Like, really? That's how you're gonna die? That wasn't even satisfying.
Yeah.
Seeing them bicker like a bunch of children. You
Hmm.
can't do this without me. No, you can't do this without me. I'm like, what am I watching?
But they've throughout this entire time we've seen the two of them bickering back. I mean, they they oscillate back and forth between lovey-dovey and bickering. Not quite like this, but they have a they've had a very weird relationship.
Well, he would snip a little bit and then she would say something back, but clearly she was the one in charge. And now
Mhm,
he's just tired of it. Again, prompted by Negan.
mhm.
He's like baiting him with why she treat you like that, you know?
She treats the rat better.
Right. All this stuff. And so that ends up happening and
Mhm,
she dies. But I just think that was such a waste as well. I don't know. I wish I understood why they were playing out the things the way they're choosing to do them.
yeah,
Because I wholeheartedly feel like this episode was literally it had like it was all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like it felt so not true to the story that we've been told this season so far. It
yeah.
seems weird.
It's more like, "You're gonna die, and you're gonna die, and coming up,
Yeah.
you're going to die. You're all going to die," because we got so the Dama died, and then, um, pretty much everyone from New Babylon died,
Yep.
and the 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 Reed people, they all died.
Mhm.
And then we have everyone in uh, that third group that Negan went to go speak with.
Yeah, like all the men there
All the
died.
men, yeah. And the crow was like, "I we spared the women and children." Ha ha. I'm thinking, oh, well, that's great because and that was a plant. That knife was a plant.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, the uh, the showman, I'm sure he's the one that planted it. Well, because
Somebody planted it.
they'd had that conversation where they had taken their tools and their weapons and
Mhm.
all the other stuff. So it would make sense for him to have had it to plant.
Right.
And I'm sure that splitting things two ways sounds better than three.
Oh, absolutely. And not only that, the Croat was like basically excited to have a reason to bust down that door to that meeting he wasn't invited to.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. He wasn't interested in reasoning. He wasn't interested in an explanation. He wasn't interested in anything. He was
Hmm.
mad because he felt that it should have been him going and doing the negotiations, not Negan.
Well, he's supposed to be first in command, right? He's supposed to be her primary go to, and instead it's been Negan,
Hmm.
which he hates, absolutely hates.
Yeah. Even though it was his idea to get Negan and bring him in and put him in this position, it was his idea.
Yeah, it was.
It was his idea to, he's been trying to sell Negan on this, and now that Negan's kind of agreeing, um, the Dama has been doing that, and it seems to have been making the Croat mad. But then again, I'm sure Negan needling him along has not been helping.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And
Yeah.
and Negan's even like, okay, when this is over, we're done, right? I get my wife and kid, and we're done.
Yeah.
And the Dama's like, well,
And he's like, "Hey." He's like, "Don't play with me." She's like, "Okay, fine. Fine, fine." I
but
that whole scene was also kind of, when Negan went to talk to, I guess that guy's name was Christios or something. He goes to talk to them and then he sees all the kids. You could tell instantly, like his attitude changes immediately.
yeah.
He's like, "Oh, we all know he has a soft spot for kids."
Well, and I'm also starting to kind of wonder if maybe these people weren't Amish because they're all speaking Dutch.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm wondering if they all started off as the Amish who survived and then, ended up in this position.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. But it seemed like they kind of got pushed into that situation when he was telling his perspective of what
Yeah.
happened to their group.
Yeah.
He definitely feels like forced into it.
They took my tool. They took our tools. They took our,
Hmm.
our weapons. They took our, where we lived because apparently the museum had belonged to them.
Right. I mean,
And
Negan actually feels so bad. He kind of like apologizes, like, "Hey, like I think we got off on the wrong foot here. We're
mhm,
the same. We have the same situation." And it looks like hey, it's going to be a success right before the Croat runs in there and ruins everything and just tries to kill everybody, which is crazy.
Right. And Negan's like, hey, I think we found some common ground.
Yeah.
And Croat's like, there is no such thing as common ground.
Oh my gosh. He's
Well,
the worst.
because Negan was like, you may not want to follow the Dama, you may not want to be part of this coalition, but what you definitely don't want to be is part of New Babylon.
Correct.
And honestly, I'm with Negan on this one.
Yeah, that's
The Croat
actually
may be bad, the Dama may be bad. None of these people are great, but then again, for the most part, the three groups have left each other the fuck alone.
mhm.
And New Babylon is just aggressively trying to bring people in. And the thing of it is I think if New Babylon had anything righteous to offer, anything good to offer,
Mhm.
they wouldn't have to force people into their coalition. But
Right.
really, what are they offering people? Not a whole lot of anything, apparently, because none of the communities feel like they're giving, but they're not getting anything really in return other than being left mostly alone as long as they follow the quote unquote rules.
Right. Mhm.
And New Babylon is very putanic or uh, putanical. I don't know why I can't say that word all of a sudden. Um, and they have a they have a lot of rules.
Yeah.
Um, and Maggie, I mean, and Maggie's, she's not known to be a massive rule breaker, but she hates it and she's chafing under it.
I still don't know why she just doesn't go back to their real home. Like, go back.
I don't
Why are
know.
you even there?
I really don't know because
I
it would make
guess.
sense for. I mean, honestly, it would have made sense for Maggie as soon as New Babylon came in and started all of this to just go back to Alexander or Alexandria. It
They're
would have
really I feel like this show is the writers just trying to force like a square peg in a round hole. They are trying to make this happen. They're trying to make they're trying so hard to
made.
force this show. And I don't know if it's successful. I don't know. I just think all of this, like as we're talking, we're like, why don't they do this? Why wouldn't she do that? Those things so can like do the two shows not talk at all?
No, that would
Grab
be
some of the writers who wrote on the original show. That might help.
right. Yeah, and I realize I realize why from a show point of view why Maggie is not in Alexandria because
Right.
they don't want to because that's a whole separate show and
And
that's
it's
not
too
for
far
anybody.
away to accomplish what they're trying to accomplish here. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So fine, I get that.
Yeah.
And and Maggie has never really said why she has not gone back to Alexandria because honestly, at this point, when we last left Alexandria and that coalition, they were actually doing okay.
Mhm.
Um, I get why Negan isn't with that group because
Right.
there's some bad blood there.
Mhm.
And he went to the New Babylon area because he was really trying to start fresh,
Right.
and that didn't work out so well for him.
Right. So he had to
But
keep moving. So,
yeah, um, and but so I don't know. We've got a lot going on. And mostly what it is just people being dumb.
yeah. And then at the end, so the Bruegel guy shows up.
Yeah, knocking at the door.
Yeah, I'm like, "What the heck?" I'm like, "What does this mean?" So now I guess they're gonna make him the ultimate villain of the rest of the season?
Maybe I mean I know that the Dama did want him to go into the weeds to find the missing people, to find the rest of the New Babylonians.
Right.
Um, and truthfully, I think that they are making out the New Babylonians as a lot more of a threat than they truthfully are. Um, they don't they don't really seem to have a standing army. They don't seem to have a whole lot of people, and the group that they've sent is pretty much decimated. And they're so pretty much their military hierarchy, at least, is gone due to
Mhm.
this. I don't know what's left of New Babylon. But
Who's we don't even know if there's anyone in charge back there, you
exactly,
know. So we don't know. They might just have decimated their whole of all their leadership. Who knows?
exactly. Um,
So, yeah.
and so I really, as far as the Dama insisting that everyone band together to fight these guys off, um, who are they fighting off at this point? Because it's about 4, 6 people, maybe. Um, it was like 12 before the walkers came in, so not really a threat. They
Well,
really,
now we know that Bruegel he wants all of the power as well,
oh
right?
yeah,
So, assuming that the Croat and Negan can somehow hold down the fort and keep those people together, they're going to be the ones that this guy is going against, and he's going to drag Maggie and crew into it as well.
yeah,
So, I don't know. Even though they should all say "F it, we're out of here," that's what they should do.
yeah, and that, you know, throughout every episode, Maggie's just like, we need to go home, guys.
Hmm.
We really need to go home.
We need to leave.
We
This is
need to
not
leave.
good. Yeah.
And Maggie brought up a very valid point, which is once once we even find the methane, what are we going to do? And no one has ever answered that.
Because they
What
don't
what was
know.
the plan? What were they thinking they could do? Were they
Hmm.
planning on trying to take over the island with this small group of people? Um, and we also don't know how big these groups are. We do know from last season that there were a lot of people in the Croats group because they had the big fight things,
Right.
and there were so many people. Um, so we could only assume that these groups are fairly big.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, even a group of 50, really isn't much of a threat to these guys.
No, not at all. So I don't know how they're going to pull that together in the last couple of episodes for this all to make sense.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I am so I over trying to even figure out what's next. I don't know.
Well, and Maggie there at the end when they were sitting there just waiting for the dead to leave,
Mhm.
um, was talking to Herschel, and I know that woman is real, and you know what hold does she have over you?
Mhm.
And I can't honestly when he said all she wanted to know is if New Babylon comes,
Right.
you know, and honestly, I really can't disagree with him if letting them know that New Babylon was coming for that reason, because these people are not great.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so I can't really fault him.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, we kind of assumed that before, right? It was because as far as she knew, he was just going to be home, right? He didn't
right,
have some master plan.
yeah. Just
So,
let me know
right.
if New Babylon, comes my way. Let me know.
Mhm.
Um, and considering how much Maggie hates New Babylon, and he probably doesn't have any more love for them, um, it probably didn't feel like a betrayal. But he also apparently thought that he could get Maggie and what's her name out of there before anyone was caught.
Yeah, that's what he thought, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
He was not good at that.
No, is he good at anything?
Yeah, there's that.
Really? Except drawing. He's good at that.
Yeah,
I'll give him that. God. I don't know. I feel like that was a betrayal. You need to tell me what's going on. I may not like it, but you need to tell me.
yeah.
I'm
And
the adult.
and
Let me
and I
figure
think
it
if
out.
he had said to Maggie while I was there, she did ask me, and is it wrong, for
Mhm.
us to at least give her the heads up? Because honestly, I'm not sure that Maggie would have disagreed.
Right. She might not have disagreed, but we'll never know that. He didn't even give
Yeah,
his mother a chance, which is really sad because, yes, the Dama was asking about him and giving him some inspiration and, excitement about the city and what could be and all this other stuff. But whatever she talked with him about was like it was so much more of an influence on him that he didn't even tell his own mother. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
he hid that he lied about her.
Yeah.
He yeah, he betrayed his mother,
He
I
did.
think.
He did.
Mhm.
I think if he had gone back and said, things were terrible. Don't get me wrong, but
And
she wasn't.
again, he had a toe cut off.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That
So
doesn't make any sense.
I know. I guess I don't know that we'll ever find out about the whole two situation.
No, she's dead now, so it doesn't even matter. But
Yeah.
why would you do her any favors? Even if you liked her ideas for the city, she mutilated you. Why would you help her?
I don't know.
That is so stupid. See,
Yeah.
that's what,
Like I said, there's a lot of things. I mean, I could have seen New Babylon going, okay, we're going to sneak a couple people into the city, a small
mm,
group, two, three,
mhm.
um, and maybe send in Maggie or send in Pearlie. Pearlie would have been a really good person to send.
Yeah,
Not because of the whole Negan angle, but because he used to live in New York,
right.
and have him and maybe two other people go in, nose around, figure out how this thing works, figure out who would know how this thing works, and then go back and report. That would have made sense. And they kept, oh, this is an exploratory. No, it's not.
Right.
No, this was their version of an invasion.
A whack one.
Yeah. Um, and I honestly think if they had just kept it down to just a couple of, two, three people max, they probably could have snuck in.
Mhm.
Um, if they had gone at night and been stealthy about it. But that's not what they did. I really think these idiot leaders thought that they could just go in, smash their way through, get whatever piece of equipment they think is going to make the methane and leave without knowing how the process works, without knowing anything about it, or, you know, without realizing the scale of the operation.
Yeah.
I don't
I,
even know if they realize they make it from the dead.
who they don't know that. They don't know anything, which just makes it even more stupid.
Yeah, we're going to go and steal the methane. Okay.
Okay, sure, if you say so.
Yeah.
But I hate to feel this way because at the beginning of this season, I said, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better about this season, even though I wasn't loving everything that was going on. I was
Right.
okay with it, right?
Right.
Um, but for some reason, this episode was a real turning point for me. I just did not like almost any decisions that they made
Yeah.
about the characters or the story or the plot in general. So I guess we just have to wait it out and see what's next because this literally made no sense to me. And then we see that at the end of this thing that Jenny is injured.
Yeah.
Now I did not go back. That was a quick scene. I didn't press pause. I didn't rewind. I was trying to see if it was a bite or just an injury from her being pushed over that piece of wood.
I I thought it was a stray bullet.
Okay.
Um, because there was a gunshot and then she kind of, you know, bent over
Yeah, cuz
and she was holding her side after that. So in looking at
maybe.
it, I assumed that she wasn't shot directly.
Yeah.
It was a graze.
Okay, cuz yeah, it didn't look I mean, it didn't look bad. That's why I wondered, is that a bite or something? What is that? Cuz it didn't look that bad.
Yeah.
But clearly she is hurt.
Yeah.
But she's hiding that as well.
Hmm.
Of course, because she's 12 and she's stupid.
Yeah. And
But
even though it's not a bite, it doesn't mean it can't be infected.
oh yeah, you can still die.
Oh yeah. Infection's the number one killer with, in a post-apocalyptic world.
But I guess to be fair, asking someone to help you in this situation probably isn't the best thing after you almost got Maggie killed.
Yeah, this is true.
Same for
You know,
Pearlie. He's about to be murdered as well.
for, helping to kill an entire people and overthrow her, go after Maggie and everything. So yeah, I'm sure she's probably not thinking, I don't think I could go to Maggie for help.
No, just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Just keep your mouth shut. But, I do wanna say one more thing about that scene where, they had the noose and all of that.
Mhm.
So, when Maggie was up there and they put it on her neck, and then pretty quickly all hell started breaking loose.
Mhm.
She's standing there with the noose on her neck. I'm like, "Get down, you stupid." I call
Yeah,
her all the
because
time.
she grabbed the noose.
Well, why didn't you get down?
Right. Why didn't she take it off her?
Right. What are
Yeah.
you doing? You're just gonna stand there and look like an idiot, and then when the chair accidentally gets kicked from under you,
Mhm.
now you're dealing with this. But when all hell broke loose and the Narayas turned around and started fighting and all stuff, I would have took the thing off my neck and got off the chair.
Oh God, yes.
Why didn't she do that? I could not understand why she was just standing there. I'm like, that is so stupid. Obviously, you're trying to get yourself hung because you didn't get down.
Yeah.
Again, like they got these characters doing the dumbest stuff. I don't get it.
It's more dramatic to have her hang there for a few minutes. I don't know.
I guess that would make sense if that happened immediately, but she was literally standing there looking at what was going on. She wasn't moving.
Yeah.
That's
And it shouldn't have been shock for her because I mean, it's not like she hasn't seen, something like this before.
right.
So, yeah. I don't know. It like I said, it was it was a you're gonna die, you're all gonna die, episode.
Yeah. I guess
And
yeah.
I really I will say I wasn't expecting um help me out with her name, the commander from New
Oh,
Babylon.
Navarez.
Yeah, Navarez. I wasn't expecting her to die just yet.
Me neither. I wasn't expecting that.
And honestly, I didn't expect the Dama to die until the last episode.
Same.
So,
That's all what's left. What are they going to do next because they killed so many people.
yeah,
Mm,
I I, I almost I'm almost picturing at this point Maggie teaming up with Negan to throw off um, the showman,
yeah, I could see that
and
because
then
he's
Maggie making a deal with Negan, saying, "Okay,
hmm,
we'll help you throw this guy off in exchange for a supply of methane.
yeah.
We'll
Because
help you keep your new seat if
yeah, Pearlie doesn't want to go home empty-handed, right?
no."
He's gonna want something. And that story, so the story she was talking about the bird,
Hmm.
like, I'm gonna have Lisa break this down because I'm like, what is the point of this fucking story? I'm like, I don't know. I think I was so checked out. I'm like, what is this story? What is she trying to get him to see? So he goes back to his old life and it's not what he thought, or he goes forward and he takes some chances.
Yeah, but he's only has one. I Yeah. I was kind of thinking about that one. So basically, the options are he can go home and rest, um, or he can go out and have one last adventure. And those are his only two choices. He can't do both,
Yeah.
and he knows it. So decisions have to be made. And I'm not sure that there was a correct answer. I think it's an individual answer.
Yeah.
And that's what she's telling Pearlie is you have a choice to make here. You can continue on the path that you are on right now and keep doing what you're doing, or you can go home to your family and rest.
Well, dare I
Um,
say, if he could continuing on the way this show did these characters in this episode, Pearlie's gonna die.
yeah.
So, sir, you can either go home with your methane tanks that maybe Maggie is able to get Negan to give you, or you're
Hmm.
gonna do something stupid and you're gonna die.
Yeah. I really don't think there are a lot of options. And honestly, at this point, if I was Maggie, I'm not sure I would give New Babylon the power because they Pearlie was already saying without this methane, the whole coalition is going to fall
Mhm. And she
because,
wants that anyway. She's
and she
tired of
wants it
him.
anyway because the ethanol is being destroyed by the moths.
Right.
So, or technically, the corn that they make it from is being destroyed.
Mhm.
Um, so Maggie knows that without this infusion of new power, New Babylon's pretty much done for.
Right.
And so there's really for her no reason at this point to even negotiate that kind of a deal.
Mhm.
And it would be in Pearlie's best interest to go back empty handed as well.
Yeah.
Because again, pretty much as we understand it, the hierarchy, the leadership of New Babylon is pretty much decimated at this point. Their sheriff is dead. Their mayor is dead. Um, and he knows that without it, the the city's going to fall, and he could leave with his family then.
Mhm.
So it's in everyone in that who's remaining in that group's best interest to go home empty-handed.
Right. Which I mean, they might not. I don't know. I did not watch the preview for next week, so they probably don't though.
It doesn't really. I mean, it's Maggie looking at Negan. It's Negan briefly talking to the Croat, saying, "So Dom is dead. What do we do now?"
Mm.
And a couple other flashes, but nothing that really gave any indication of what's going to happen.
Mhm. Hmm. Well, I mean, this was a entertaining episode. I guess I'll say it was entertaining, even though I was calling people all kind of stupid bees throughout the whole episode,
Yeah,
and just like what? Oh, at the very least, it was entertaining.
yeah. I mean, honestly, for after the Croat, killed everyone, all the
Mm.
men, I
Mhm.
really kind of thought that Negan was going to throw him under the bus to
Mm.
get rid of him.
Mhm.
But he probably felt that the Croat was easier for him to control than the Dama would be.
Yeah. I definitely feel like at least after that happened, Negan definitely looked like he was over it. He's in that car looking like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe that just happened."
Yeah. Oh yeah, he is over it.
Yeah.
Now he is playing to end it.
Yeah, which is exactly what happened. After that ride, he's like, "Okay, shit's starting effective immediately."
Hmm.
And he
And
got it done like in one day.
yeah, and I honestly, I mean, there was when he killed that rat. I mean, he probably figured it was a toss up on who was going to walk out of that room alive, or if either one of them. He might have been hoping that both of them mutually assured destruction kind of thing.
That would have been best case scenario,
That would have
honestly.
been best case scenario.
Mhm.
Um, but push come to shove, physically, the Croat should have been able to take the Dama. Although I did giggle when she bit him.
I know I said, "Oh, she's a biter. She's a biter. She's
She is
back
a
biting."
biter.
Like, "Oh my god." I'm like, She did not just bite that man." I bust out laughing. I
Oh,
did.
dude, I did too. I'm like, she bit him.
Mhm.
So this is, apparently something she has done not just once before, but has probably done more than once.
Yeah, I guess when she gets too frustrated or too upset, she just bites people.
Yeah, which was just, it was so wrong. It
It's
was funny.
comical. Like, you gotta be kidding. This woman is supposed to be so bad, and so
So
scary,
refined.
and she is biting people. Like,
Yeah.
what a
So
joke.
I know. And like I said, it might have, like I said, Negan might have been hoping that the two of them just ended each other.
Mhm.
Um, but the most likely scenario would be Dama's dead,
Mhm.
Croat's alive.
Right.
Um, because for all of her bark, I mean, really, she doesn't have. I mean, what does she have other than actually biting behind the bite? You know, she's not physically strong. She's an older woman. Um,
Right.
she's not physically hardy.
Mhm.
She's, I mean, she's she's an old woman.
Right.
And it's not that the Croats any, is a spring chicken or anything, but he at
Actually,
least is physically capable.
I don't know. He look all skinny and decrepit to me. I don't know. I guess he's more capable than her physically, but just
Yeah.
barely.
I mean, between the two of them, I mean, I put money on him.
Yeah. But he couldn't could he even hold his own against someone else? This is the question. Yeah, he can beat her, but I
Yeah,
feel like it wouldn't take much for anyone else to beat him.
yeah. And I think Negan will keep him alive simply because
He
it,
can control him.
yeah, it will expedite things because
Mhm.
Pratt really, to even now, worships Negan.
Yeah.
Bringing up the old days, all the good times as far as he's concerned they had, and all the terrible things that Negan did. Ha ha ha! Isn't it great? Um,
And plus all the people know that the Croat was her right-hand man. So he's obviously going to be the one they listen to, not Negan, at least
right.
not initially, right? Not
Not initially.
yeah.
But you know that the Croat will keep turning to Negan because honestly, the Croat could might be the illusion of the person in charge, but he doesn't have the temperament for it. He doesn't have the knowledge for it. Um, I think left to his own devices, things will fall apart very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, he can't even negotiate anything. He
Yeah.
can't be trusted to do that. So
Mm-mm.
he definitely needs an advisor to help
Yeah.
him if he's going to be successful in trying to lead a group because
Right.
he's just too hot-headed.
And I don't think it'll take a whole lot for Negan to take over.
No, just time,
It's
honestly.
time. Yeah.
Mhm. Or if somehow the Croat actually dies, then people will probably look to him because he has
Hmm.
such a known reputation. And, he's persuasive and charismatic. So it
Yeah.
wouldn't take much.
Yeah. It you know because again, it's not that he can't do it. This is just the shortcut.
Hmm.
So
I'm still wondering if we're going to see Annie and their kid.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of the opinion at this point that I'm not sure either A, the
They're
Dama
even alive.
had them,
Hmm.
or B, if she did it, they are even alive.
Yeah, it could have just been a big ruse.
Hmm. I mean, then again, it's also possible that they are somewhere buried in that city.
Mm. Yeah, that's true as well. You never know. Well, regardless, I hope we figure that out one way or another before
Yeah,
the end of this
yeah.
season.
I hope so.
Yeah, so he can either put it to rest, and not worry about them anymore because they're not there, or he's able to meet up back with them again. That
Yeah,
would be nice, after all of the bullshit he had to deal with this
yeah.
season just to be able to save their lives.
Hmm.
That would be unfortunate if they were dead already, but
Oh, it would be. But
yeah.
it wouldn't be. It would not surprise me in the least.
Yeah, because this show gives zero Fs about any of these characters, staying true to these characters, doing anything nice for these characters. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're tools to be used, and they're
Hmm.
just writing them any kind of way. Does not matter.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Mm, this was the worst episode of this season so far.
I don't. I'm not. I don't know because there was a previous episode that I didn't like very much either. But yeah, action wise, this things moved along, but a
Hmm.
lot of it didn't. Like you said, why didn't Maggie get down off the stool?
Yeah.
Um, why didn't Negan do certain things? Um, I don't know. It could have been better.
Yeah, they could have tightened up that storyline just make things make sense. You know how I am about that. Just don't do stupid stuff and we're good. I mean, it's
Yeah.
your world. Just as long as you stay within the the guidelines that you made for your world, it's fantasy basically,
Hmm.
sci-fi. You can do what you want, but just
Right.
stay within it and stay true to the characters. Just don't
Right.
start doing crazy stuff just to move the plot forward. That's whack.
Right. You know.
And it's weak writing.
Yeah. Because characters can act any particular way as long as they consistently act
Right.
in a particular way. And it's not that they can't ever change; they can, but the change has to make sense.
Yeah, there has to be catalyst for it. Like, what
Yeah.
are we doing? Like, we have someone who is a fighter just standing on a stool ready to just hang. What?
Right.
That
So
made 0 sense, but okay, I guess. Well, the one thing they have been consistent with is Herschel. He's still the worst.
hey, at least he has that consistency going on for him.
And I hate that I feel that way about that character because I feel like, he could be more. He could be so great
Hmm.
that they turned him into this whiny bratty kid. I don't know. Yes, he got his toe cut off. Yes, his mom hasn't been the best. But my goodness, I don't know. I had so many high hopes for that child, and
Yeah,
this is what we get.
I was really hoping more for a Judith than an RJ.
Yeah, yeah,
Not gonna lie.
yes. But I can't give it to the actor. He can act, though. I feel like he can act.
Oh yeah,
So
the
there's
kid can
that.
act. It's just they gave him
Yeah,
a terrible character
he
to
could
act.
only do what he's given. So,
Right. So, all right. Are
I
we
think we're
done?
done. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this. Oh
Okay.
my gosh. So we'll be back again next week. Talk about episode 6. Be sure to be here, subscribe, turn the bell on if you're on YouTube so you get notification when we go live.
Yep.
And hopefully you can join us live. And if not, catch us on a replay. That's it. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.